combination strike for Ballard. Last week we had a non-winner named Mike Edwards, one of our first Americans, a Cherokee Indian, and Mr. Ballard here is proud of his ancestry pretty far back, Chickasaw tribe.
Needs a strike to even it up. 10th frame.
Coming through like he has all week. His dad is proud.
A perfect shot at a perfect time. Del Ballard right now can shoot 180. He cannot shut out Bob Hanley. Chris, this really sets up the possibility of our first tie match of the year. It's all even. Ballard coming up, double working, 11th frame.
Our 4th stop in a tour of 16 cities, 23rd season. Well, what seemed a lackluster game has suddenly become a Donnybrook at the end.
For all the money, the players out here on the tour is what makes them so much different, I would say, from the good amateurs at home. They can perform under the pressure even better than they can when they're freewheeling. Ballard, a possible 180. Chris, 178. We have a possibility of a tie. As Bob Hanley walks over to look at the scoreboard, right now he needs a strike, 9 spare to win. If Bob Hanley gets strike, an 8 combination, and spare, we have our first tie of the year. But Hanley must strike on this ball to have any chance of winning.
There it is again, a 7-10. And the look on his face tells the story. Again, the picture worth more than 1,000 words.
Unbelievable. Just when Hanley needed that power at most, it failed him. He blew the pins all over, made a really nice pass at the ball. See, his face knows it's going to be close. And look at this projection as he leaves a 7-10 and loses the match.
3-time winner, Bob Hanley, with a disappointing 156, and Del Ballard, the non-winner, a shot a 178. He will go against Joe Barardi next. The professional bowler is eliminated, 178 to 156. Del Ballard moves up, Nelson.
Chris, a very low match, 334 combination for the two players. The all-time record low was between Dennis Jakes and shortcut Sam Zurich, 157 to 156. They were threatening it, but I think the action is going to pick up now.
Right, we have the winner of the United States Open, the Masters in the Firestone. On the left, Joe Barardi, moving in now against the winner of the first game, Del Ballard. In that first game, Del had 5 strikes. Between them, 9 strikes. The more important, 8 splits. Okay, that first game is over. It's a new ball game now. And the first shot now by Joe Barardi here today, other than the practice shots, which they are allowed on the pair.
Joey's championship round record in 24 appearances is 25 wins and 19 losses and a 212 average. So he's steady, always under the pressure. Real nice style, all-around good game.
Leaving the 2-pin on the right lane, the man that was on our telecast last week was in the first match, and he lost to Mike Edwards 234 to 216. And wife Debbie is here, mother of Joseph James II.
And we're going to have an interview with Debbie after the next break. And you see Barardi style, a little stutter step and basically a 4-step delivery, good extended push away, wraps that swing behind his back a little bit, then strings it right through with that good arm strength. It's high follow through, and he made a smart shot there, Chris. He didn't want to run up in the nose like the other players he saw in the first match do right away and give Ballard an opening. He kept it a little wide.
And on the left lane, he comes up high with that shot, leaving the 3-6. A little bit later on in the Roll 8's tip of the week, Nelson will be showing you how to improve making your spares. Spares like the 6-10, the 4-7. Two spares for Joe Barardi, but with a strike up is Del Ballard from Richardson, Texas. We're in Grand Prairie, 12 miles from downtown Dallas. Richardson is about 30 miles north, but that's still a suburb of Dallas. He has doubled.
You saw that average of Del Ballard's on the championship pair, 252. It took a little dip after the last game. He dropped down to 227, but I think he's found the line now. The pair will yield some real good scores. The carry's good, but you have to find the line, as Barardi is studying Ballard's angle right now.
High hit, and we have a 3-6-10 for Ballard.
When a player looks down at the approach like that, he just wonders, should I make a move or did I make a bad shot? And that's the hardest thing about bowling under pressure. You have to know when it's been a mistake by you or when it has been the lane. Now he has to figure it had to be him because he had 3 strikes on that plane in the last 3 frames.
All right. Continuing to mark is the winner of the first game, 178 to 156 over Bob Hanley, Del Ballard. Now Joe Barardi from Brooklyn, New York, 5 feet 9 inches tall, 140 pounds. 12-year member of the PBA, 6 titles, including 3 majors, trailing by 9. Oh, that one just slid by. 1, 2, 4.
When the players shot the big scores that we alluded to at the top of the championship round, they were playing between the second and third arrow. As you see, that ball there goes outside the second arrow. There's must be a real slick area in the center, Chris, and they can't get the ball to break into the pocket. And there it was right there on that shot. A little bit worried as all the players have started in trouble. The 1, 2, 4. Barardi throws a nice size hook. It just doesn't bite, and that's why the players have moved to the outside line. Del Ballard, with a game's experience under his belt, has the best line. Barardi is going to have to reach back for a little extra here. He's trailing by 23.
4 right-handers, tournament leader, left-hander. Looks more like the great champion that he is, Joe Barardi. So, Del Ballard, who won this match, 178 to 156. He leads by 23, spare working, shooting in the 4th frame. Listen to his fans. The young man that is not yet qualified for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, as you watch that beautiful shot on the right lane. Powerful ball by this 170-pounder. Now he can increase his lead to 33 with a strike on the left lane. So now it is the 4-6. First time we've had that pair up today. We've had a little bit of everything else. If you've been with us from the start here in Texas. Concentrating Barardi. Then hoping to bounce it out. Nearly came out on the deck once again, but it's an open frame. Barardi will bowl next, but first let's hear from the better half.
Chris, for 3 years, this young lady traveled with Joe every week on the tour, but I haven't seen you for about a year. Debbie, where have you been?
Well, Bo, as you know, I had a baby back in August, and we have a home now, and I prefer to stay home. Not that I don't like the tour, but I miss my husband quite a bit now.
Well, that's a good point. You know, the wives are home rooting for these husbands, and a lot of them are out here on the tour, Chris, and Debbie's right here rooting Joey on. Let's see what happens now.
Big shot. Very big. Because he could have cut the lead by Ballard to 1 pin, but he has left the 4 on the right side of this championship pair. Takes no time. Bombs the pin off the deck. Asking for a re-rack, Joe Barardi from acting tournament director Harry Smith, and we're happy to report the regular tournament director, Harry Golden, is recovering beautifully from a quadruple heart bypass in Florida. That's good news.
And I'm sure he's standing by watching us, ready to get back in the action.
That's right.
Should be ready by the Firestone.
We just hope he gets back to his golf game. He lives for golf and the bowlers.
Barardi fingertip grip. He's been doing well on this lane. He just keeps his speed up and plays inside.
Hey! Amazing.
Action line tracer shows the inside line of Joe Barardi. Remember, we saw Hanley's ball and Ballard's ball way out on the gutter, but yet there's Joey playing right down the track area.
That's a tough little 20-year-old from Richardson, Texas. Comes right up with a strike in the 6th frame. He's not going to give it away.
It's easy to see the lane condition from back here with no pressure, but it looks like if you play the outside line on the right-hand lane and the inside track line that Barardi's playing on the left-hand lane would be the best way to hit this pair.
Now Ballard will look at a 2-4-10. How will he shoot that, Nelson?
Chris, he's got to go across lane. As you see his ball sliding by that outside line. Remember, the last shot we saw of Barardi's was in the track and it would bite. Now, what happens when you play outside of the track or worn area between the 2nd and 3rd arrow and have to throw the ball too hard? It just doesn't bite and come back. As you see there, he'll try to slide the 2-pin over into the 10.
A little bit too much to the left. Open frame for Ballard. So the lead now. A 13-pin lead for Joe Barardi. Due to your past performance, do you think you've been overlooked as one of the great bowlers, Joe?
Well, yes, I feel I've been overlooked due to the fact that in the last 5 or 6 years, my performances have been above par. Last year, I won the Firestone Tournament of Champions. I won the U.S. Open, the Masters, and I'm under 30, so I'm going to be here for a while.
He's got a good point, Chris. The one thing he has lacked is consistency. He's been able to win the big ones, but he needs to get a little more consistency. He's been really good so far this year.
That just puts more pressure on the winner of the first game, Del Ballard. Debbie Barardi, pleased with her husband's performance. And now Ballard, who had the lead, well, he had an open frame, now shooting in the 8th.
The power of Barardi just saws that 5 out, chops out the 6-10. He's got Ballard on the ropes. Chris, this is where he answered the bell in the last match. If he can strike here in the 9th, he'll cut Barardi's lead down to just 13 pins. But it's more important that he hits this lane because he knows what he can do on the right-hand lane. He's been very close in the right-hand lane every shot. He struck in the 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th. He hasn't missed it.
Ten-pin on the left lane, the young man who was runner-up to Toby Contreras for Rookie of the Year honors a year ago.
As you can see the line of Ballard, he goes between the 1st and 2nd arrow, swings out that wide trajectory, and normally he'll carry the 10-pin out on this hit, but the 6 lays in the channel and doesn't carry it. He's in trouble.
So Joe Barardi with the 3-bagger, frames 6, 7, and 8. Leading by 23, can increase it. He'll be shooting now in the 9th frame and taking a lot of time at drying that right hand. Now he's ready. His 3 major titles.
The door is back open, Chris.
Yes.
Nobody can put him away. A strike there would have just put Del Ballard out of it. Now, what Joe is doing is very important here as you watch this kind of capricious hit where the head pin goes to the sideboard and doesn't take out the 4, 5, 7. Joey Barardi will try to slide the 5 over into the 7.
He does it. That's one way to convert. 5, 7. Was there some luck there, though?
What a great break, Chris. Normally you slide the 5 over the 7. Watch, the 5 pin hits directly back off the backboard, bounces up, taps the back of the 7. That's the same way you'd make the 7-10 split we saw Mark Roth once make. And now the situation for Barardi is very simple. He only needs a mark to win the match. What a great break.
bowling against Del Ballard, who won the first game over Bob Hanley, 178 to 156. And the only kind of mark.
It's all over, Chris.
Yes.
That locked him out. Barardi's going to go on to meet Roth, and I'll tell you what, these are two East Coast players that have had it at it. I remember Barardi one time telling Mark Roth, if you ever slow down, this was when Mark was king of the hill a couple years ago, I'll be the man to take your place. So they'll be going right at it next match.
Joey loosening up with a victory here. It'll be over 200 for his score on this championship pair. He had averaged a 242. Barardi and Roth. That conjures up excitement. So it's a 202 for the winner, Joe Barardi, who will be meeting the winner of 28 titles, Mark Roth. That match following this message. Del Ballard with a 202 to Ballard's 177. And you see that Ballard defeated Hanley in the first match, 178 to 156. So a dream match coming up. A man originally from Staten Island, Mark Roth, and Brooklyn's Joe Barardi. Nelson Burton Jr. is going to show you how, in our third head-to-head match of the Professional Bowlers Tour, go at it. Head-to-head, Joe Barardi, who won the last match over Del Ballard, 202 to 177. Yes, a nemesis at times. Mark Roth, who is 128. Barardi walked by me before introducing the tip and saying, it's nice to win on TV again. He met that last game, of course, 4-pin.
Joe is playing the correct line on the left-hand lane as the inside line. I think it eventually won that last match for him, but through 4 games, the players are averaging just a dismal 178, Chris. The action has to pick up for the big money.
Spare for 29-year-old Joe Barardi. And now in a brilliant red shirt. Glad to see Mark Roth back on our approaches of this telecast. 32 years old. An attacker. Okay. Looks like he has the right attitude. He's ready.
A determined Mark Roth. Let's count how many steps he's using today. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. Coming up and driving through 7. That deep inside line, the good lift. Chris, he looks as good as I've seen him in the last 3 years. He's lost a little weight. He's been doing a lot of practicing, and he looks like the Mark Roth of old.
That's a high hit, and as we have seen in the past, you're left with splits like this. 6, 7, 10.
Uh-oh, trouble here. Right through the heart, the 6, 7, 10. What has happened is the lanes do not have any area for the big crankers to just throw the ball out there. They have to be more of a precision shot with not so much hook. Roth going for the split.
All right. So it's a tough break for Mark right at the beginning.
That was our 12th open frame, and we haven't even completed the 3rd match. I can never recall 12 open frames in such a short period of time.
And Bo never 8 in one match between the two, the first match.
You're right, that was a record.
Ah, that makes me feel more comfortable. Happens at home all the time. Ooh. Loose after that victory in game number 2. That was a beautiful strike by Joe Barardi.
Joe Barardi playing the lanes properly. He's playing between the 2nd and 3rd arrow on the right-hand lane and going straight at the pocket. On the left-hand lane, which seems to be hooking a little more, he's closer to the 3rd arrow, a little extra speed. He's in the driver's seat. He could breeze to a victory, Chris, if the other players can't figure out the championship pair.
A left-hander is waiting in the wing as the tournament leader, Hugh Miller, will bowl the winner of this game. Well, here we go. 4, 6. Speaking of lines.
And there's not much to play with, as you see, right over the 3rd arrow, the action line tracer, and this ball cuts right through the heart for 4-6. Barardi going for it.
So we have an even match. Can you believe it?
A game plan for Mark Roth. He's going to use one ball on the right-hand lane and switch for another ball on the left-hand lane. I haven't seen a player do that in years. Let's see what he does. He's using this ball on the right-hand lane, lane 40. Leaving
the 3-pin on the right lane.
The right-hand lane, Roth throwing a little bigger hook than Joe Barardi. Has to play farther towards the center. He's between the 3rd and 4th arrow. Cuts right through the heart. A simple spare. Roth shoots it just like the tip was, Chris. Straight at it with that little fade shot.
Now only Barardi, Roth, and Miller are left. And last night, after 41 games, in other words, before the final game, Barardi, Roth, and Miller were separated by 16 pins. So this has been a great competitive event again here at the Forum Bowl. Roth with the spare up, shooting in the 4th.
Just can't get the power on it, Chris. They have to be a little bit skeptical about what's happening. When a power player starts hitting high, he cuts back, just like a golfer will take it. Instead of using a driver, he pulls out maybe a 3-iron to tee off with. Roth used his 3-iron on that shot. Try to keep the ball in play and not get another open frame until he can figure out what's happening out there and he can attack.
All right. And with that analysis also of his golf game, never play Nelson Burton Jr. Okay, in bowling, we'll be back. Roth, Barardi, games from Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, starting February 6th. Meanwhile, Bo and I will be back in the warm confines of bowling establishments across the country. Barardi. Look at that. Getting a strike in the 4th frame of this Quaker State Open.
Barardi trips the 4 out with a 2-pin. Watch the 3rd pin on the left-hand side of your screen. Goes to the sideboard, trips out the 4-7. That's the classic trip 4. And through 2.5 matches so far, we've had 13 splits, 1 conversion. That was Barardi catching the 5-7 out of the back end, and 1 miss where Barardi missed the 1-2-4. So we've had 13 open frames. Anything can happen.
2 young fathers bowling head-to-head as they did in last year's Firestone, the semifinal with Barardi winning that one. 10.
The difficulty factor of the pair of lanes right there, Barardi threw just a real nice shot. He thought that would cut right in there solid, but apparently the finish was not there. Look at, he knows this is a great shot. Leaves the soft 10.
Joey's quite a competitor. When he won his United States Open, he had to defeat the great Earl Anthony in order to do it. Earl, now retired. We miss him, but we'll always remember his skill and class on the lanes. Mark gets a high hit, leaving the 6-10. But the winner of this game will be going against another state of Washington bowler, Hugh Miller, and a left-hander.
See what happens on the left side of the lane, Chris. The righties are really struggling, but it's a whole new ball game when you go over to the left side.
Left side's all virgin today, isn't it?
You've got it.
Mark Roth having his problems here, but 3 pins separating these 2 East Coast professionals who, in league play, have worked a lot at the Paramus Bowl in New Jersey.
Both bowl in the same league.
If Mark could go to the top, get the $20,000 first prize, he would be over $900,000. If Joy could do it, he'd be over $900,000 himself. Finally, Mark opened this game, the semifinal game, with a strike. First one since then, coming in the 6th frame. Now Joey will be shooting in the 6th with a spare up. Meanwhile, left-hander Hugh Miller of Everett, Washington, keeps warming up to our right. Birding a split on the right side, leaving the 3.
Something that television viewers at home can watch when a player delivers the ball. If you see the follow-through go to the right, like Barardi's did on that particular shot, you can bet the shot's going to be high. If it goes to the left, you can almost bet it's going to be light.
Who just joined us, our first 2 games. Del Ballard, a non-winner, defeated Bob Hanley 178 to 156. And Joe Barardi eliminated Ballard 202 to 177. Our 3rd game has reached the halfway point. two-pin lead held by this 29-year-old pro from Brooklyn, Joe Barardi. Seventh frame. Big strike for Joe Barardi. Here in Grand Prairie, Texas, on a 50-degree PBT. Today, Superbikers and Women's World Cup downhill skiing from France, from Wall Township, New Jersey. Married to Jackie, who is the mother of Stephanie, Mark Roth.
Come on.
Okay. Mark was very concerned about a little buddy back in Staten Island who had surgery. So I think that one was for Stefan, his friend.
Chris, he got a really good break there. He threw an excellent shot, kept it in play. He yells, "Come on!" here. He gets the wall shot. Head pin goes to sideboard, takes out the 4-5-7, and he has the lead in the match for the first time.
Now he's on the left lane. This is the 8th frame. And the world's greatest New York Ranger hockey fan has a 3-bagger and has an 18-pin lead.
This is Mark Roth's best. He knows it's there. Look at him. Chris, you do not beat this man. He will just stay out there and stay out there. Barardi has his hands full against Mark Roth, but Barardi has beat the best before. He beat him in the Firestone.
And Joy has doubled here in this semifinal match. What a game.
And he gave Roth the same look that Roth gave him. Barardi with his best shot of the match. Hits light, just rips the 5 over in the 4-7 area. Dances those 3-pound, 6-ounce pins out of there. And right now, Barardi can retake the lead. It's like a heavyweight boxing match, Chris. Two of the best that ever stepped on the lane going at it. 2 frames left, just an 8-pin difference.
All right. Ninth frame. Joe Barardi, Brooklyn's answer to professional bowling. He stuck that one in, didn't he?
You just can't bowl any better than the last 2 frames that both of these players have rolled. Competitors under pressure, they put it on each other. Somebody's got to win. Roth trails again just by 2 pins. He can take the lead again.
Lofting it out there a mile. Unfortunately.
For Mark Roth, he has to take the pin and slide the 4-pin over here and slide it right over to the 10. There he goes. It's going to try to slide it over.
Here he is. Too far to the right, the man who had once converted a 7-10, Mark Roth. Devastating blow to the 32-year-old pro.
He's checking the scoreboard. Roth must throw 2 strikes to have any chance of winning the match. Barardi going at a 2:07 pace. Roth at a 191. Roth could come up to a 2:01 maximum. He would force Barardi to mark.
And these great pros never give up.
Roth with 1 more strike here would force Barardi to get a good count and at least a good mark in the 10th frame.
You're looking at a man that has won 28 PBA titles. This man has won 6, including 3 major titles.
Best Roth can do if he converts this 5-10 split, it'll be 191. Barardi just has to keep it on the lane. But remember last week in Las Vegas, Gil Sliker hit his ankle and went in the channel. That would change the match around, a foul or a channel shot.
Mark Roth, who has made the championship round here at the Forum Bowl 5 times, finishing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd, 3rd. And another 3rd could be coming his way this afternoon.
Joey needs 8 pins on the first ball, so just get it up to the head pin. 8 pins, he doesn't have to get any conversions, and he'll defeat Mark Roth. That's a winner right there.
Joe Barardi has won his second match. Back-to-back TV appearances, losing out for the title last week, but still has a shot for the $20,000 Quaker State Open title today. So, Roth shooting a 190. We'll have the final on Barardi. Barardi now will meet left-hander Hugh Miller. The PBT will continue after this message and a word from our local stations. We wait the start of the final match of the Quaker State Open. Miller against Barardi, and Nelson Barardi winning 2 matches just over the 200. He left an 8-10 on his last shot.
Chris, they've only averaged 184, 16 splits. They're going for the big money on the next match.
Okay, let's go back to New York City. And our host today, as he will be in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, here's Jim McKay. 25, a pro field of 160, Nelson.
Chris, average of cash 208, average 212, and we had a great Pro-Am. We had over 2,070 members in the Pro-Am, a lot of celebrities. Von Erich, the wrestling champion, Billy Sample, left fielder for the Rangers team. And you see some of the other finishers. Holman, Weber, Baker, Knippel all up there. Look at that good prize fund, over 3,000. Mike Durbin up there, lefty John Gant. Mike Steinbeck, a nice young guy up there again. Paul Moser, the lefty. Jim Tilton, a good player. Shortcut Sam Zurich, Sajak, Warren Nelson, scoring well. Doug Laird, Jeff Ballinger, Alan Granite.
And in 21, the man that was going to buy me lunch next week. He earned $1,600, Nelson Burton.
A stranger, and Bo Bowden, Marty Letcher, and Brad Bowling bring up the top 24.
And now, here we go for the final match, the Quaker State Open title, $20,000 and a beautiful trophy. Joe Barardi, winner of 2 matches, into the final against left-hander Hugh Miller. We'll just watch along with you as Barardi will shoot first on the left lane. Qualified third for this championship round. Barardi defeated Del Ballard and Mark Roth. And here we are, 4, 6, 7.
Before we went on the air today, I took a survey of who the players thought would win. Statistician Mike Durbin picked Roth. Some other players picked Hanley. Not too many picked Barardi as he struggles here. But the most important man, Chris, is the man who conditions or oils the lanes, and that's the PBA lane maintenance director on hand, Lenny Nicholson. He said he favored the left-hander. Let's see who's right.
All right, and there's the man that Lenny was talking about, 27-year-old Hugh Miller. Everett, Washington, 10 miles north of Seattle. First shot. Shades of Earl Anthony on that shot. Smooth.
Just a beautiful form. He stays down low. Nice, smooth swing, Chris. You're right. Look at that head and arm in good position. Good knee bend. Nice extension. And this player has never lost a match. He continues to throw like that. He won't lose very many in championship round.
Leaving a 6-pin on the left lane. The tournament leader, like Mark Roth, has won here.
Top-notch physical condition. Runs, look at that. Listen to music and run. Chris, he runs better than 30 miles a week. Stays in real good shape. That's very important for bowling. A lot of leg work.
So for Hugh Miller, it's a strike and a spare, and takes an 11-pin lead over Joe Barardi, who got only 9 pins in the first frame. 2 victories for Joe, now shooting in the second frame. Top form for Joe Barardi in the second frame.
Had the pleasure of eating dinner over at Joe Barardi's home with his mother and father, Chris, and I had never been to a full-fledged Italian dinner before, and they served the lasagna and some other good stuff, and boy, I was full, and little did I know that wasn't even the entree. So Joe Barardi, a lot of fun, a great young bowler, and a great mother and father.
You have to pace yourself, Nelson. Wait for the fettuccine. Oh, I love fettuccine. Joe thought he had paced himself just right to get another strike.
The first solid tap we've had today. As many balls have been around the pocket. Watch the 6th pin. The second pin on the right-hand part of your screen just go fly around the 10. Usually it's driven straight into the 10 or off the sideboard, but no luck for Barardi there.
Hugh Miller, we indicated, has never lost on television, so we asked him why he's never lost a game in the championship round.
Well, I feel there's several reasons. For one, I've been a little lucky, dodged a few bullets along the way, and my opponents have given me a few openings when I need them, and I feel when I'm in the championship round, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go bowl. I just get up there, pick up that ball, and hope I throw a strike.
And Chris, one of the most important reasons, he's never had an open frame in those 5 matches. He's averaged a fabulous 236.6 in those TV matches with no open frames. He leads by 11 here.
You suppose Earl Anthony manages him and he's kept him under wraps for a while?
When I first saw this young player, I thought he was the one lefty that bowled as much like Earl Anthony as anybody else.
Well, he averts the split, and that is a big break. Especially conditions today here at the Forum Bowl, where Jeannie Halsey and her son Randy have again done a superior job for all the bowlers.
A little body English as he avoids the split. Second consecutive 6-pin on the left-hand lane.
Hugh Miller continues to mark. He's the tournament leader going against Joe Barardi. Miller leading by 11 in this championship in Texas. You're looking at Joe Barardi, winner of 2 matches today. Third in qualifying, now in the final match against Hugh Miller. Joe's second consecutive appearance on television finals here this year. Third straight going back to last year. Spare up. Strike coming in the 4th frame for Barardi.
Joe really zeroed in. Had a good strike here in the 2nd frame, had that solid 10 in the 3rd frame, which would have given him the lead, and is right back in the pocket here in the 4th. He trails by 11, can cut Hugh Miller's lead down to 1 pin with a double.
Joe got what he wanted.
Barardi with that inside line has hit the left-hand lane all day. It's been his key to victories. Right over the 3rd arrow, a tremendous shot, drives all 10 pins in the pit. Hugh Miller only leads by 1, 5th frame. Hugh Miller playing on that unused left side. Look at that. He's the only lefty, so he found a good shot, and he's playing it outside that 1st arrow, and there's no other lefties to change the shot. That means to either dry it out or move the conditioner around, so he's making no adjustments. All he has to do on this left-hand lane, Chris, is throw a little bit harder. He had 2 good shots and left a 6-pin. A little speed might do the trick.
Exactly. And was he rooting for that shot at the line? Hugh Miller, the left-hander who had his idols, Johnny Gunther, Earl Anthony, and Johnny Petraglia.
The difference in the lines, the angle of attack. Look at Hugh Miller right out on the channel. The very last board snaps in there, tremendous angle towards the pocket. That increases his carry, but also increases his chance of cutting through, getting opens. Barardi bowling like a typical right-hander down the track area between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Both players an equal shot for the title.
Here's a double-up 6th frame. Leaving the 1-2, and he must not forget the sleeper 8.
Remember, Barardi's thumb was split open last week, and it was bleeding before he went in the championship round. He looks down at his thumb right now. He had a patch on it to help protect it, but it just slipped out. Hopefully that patch didn't break open, because it takes about a minute to heal that back up.
Just made sure. Well, that's a spare for Joe Barardi after a double.
Here's the strategy of Joe Barardi, the right-hander, to play between the 2nd and 3rd arrows and adjust to the lanes as they change during the matches. No problem. He stayed right in there. The problem he has now, Chris, let's see if he loses that ball off his thumb. He's looked down at that thumb patch. He's made good to excellent shots here on the left lane. Let's see if he can make another strike. He's been in the pocket in the 5th, in the 3rd, and a little high in the 1st.
All right. Remarkable professionals, these bowlers. It's the East Coast versus the West Coast.
Never a doubt.
From the great state of Washington, here he is, Hugh Miller. 3 victories. Boy, 3 in a row in this championship match.
I have to give these players credit, Chris. The young fella, Ballard, who came out, he was so cool under the pressure. Hugh Miller never lost a championship round match. He's 5-0, leads by 24 here. He has Barardi on the ropes if he can get one more strike and extend it to a 4-bagger.
He's 5 feet 10, 170 pounds. Fine athlete.
Solid 7. There was no doubt that that ball was going to be in the pocket. Watch it out on the first board. A real sharp break to the pocket. Watch the 4-pin snap just right around the 10, around the 7-pin. That's the same as the 6 going around the 10 for the right-hander. It's kept Barardi in the match.
This is the final game. We're in Texas, next week Florida, Don Carter Lanes. The following week at Dick Weber Lanes in St. Louis, then Ray Becker's Landmark Lanes in Peoria. So we're sneaking up on the Midwest, Bo.
Chris, we'll go into warm temperatures and up to Dick Weber's home. You're right. Some of the old hotbeds of bowling as Barardi contemplates this shot. Make sure that hand is real dry. Big shot. He must have it to stay close in the match. He trails by 23.
Coming up high, and there is a 4, 6, 7.
He's got to go for it, Chris. He's going over to look at the scoreboard, and what he'll do is just, Joey can throw the ball about 25 miles an hour, and he's just going to throw it right through the back end. Watch how hard he throws.
So that open frame disappoints his wife, Debbie, as this is the championship game. Difference of 9,000, winning or losing.
Barardi in a must situation. Cannot afford to not have any more strikes. He trails by 35, just 2 frames left.
And a 10.
A bit dejected.
Again this year, the Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for crippled children. Benefits as the net profits go to that fine institution here in the Dallas area. And the retiring Walter May, Director of Development, is so pleased with what the bowlers have done over the last 8 years.
Chris raised over $80,000 over that period of time. Chris, you've called a lot of boxing matches, and I've heard you say still the undefeated champion, and there you got another one right out there.
It really, really is.
That was the coup de grace. He just put him away.
I was with one of my boxing heroes this week for a piece to be used on Wide World of Sports a week from today. Sugar Ray Leonard, bigger and better. And can he throw a left hook like Miller? Here's the sweetest, habitual giver, wonderful lady, owner, Forum Bowls, Jeannie Halsey. Not quite. He even put a little extra follow-through on that left-handed shot, but he left the 7-pin, and the fans are very appreciative of this West Coast, Northwest Coast bowler, Hugh Miller.
Eddie Elias, the founder of the PBA, as he looks over watching his champion, undefeated. Never had an open frame in 6 matches, Chris.
And remember, he has been a professional member of the PBA for 5 years. He has 3 titles, one coming right here. 1980. So every 4 years, like the Olympic Games, he comes through at the Forum Bowl. 217 from Miller, and a sportsmanlike handshake from Joe Barardi, who had won 2 matches, coming in here and gets a crossover hit and leaves the 310. But it's all academic. It's 20,000 to Miller, 11,000 to Barardi, 7,500 to Roth, 6,000 to Ballard and 5,000 to Bob Hanley, who was defeated in the first game by Ballard. So it's a 217 to 171 victory for 27-year-old Hugh Miller of Everett, Washington, twice champion of the Quaker State Open. We'll be back to talk to the winner and loser, but first this. And Ballard winning the first, Barardi 2, and then Mr. Perfection Hugh Miller from Everett, Washington, eliminating Barardi by a score of 217. Hugh Miller 20,000, Barardi 11, Mark Roth 7,500, 6 and 5 for 4th and 5th. But number 1, here he is, Hugh Miller.
I'll tell you, I'm running a little short on things to say. My voice is kind of going away, but it feels great to come back here to Grand Prairie and win again. Maybe if I come back in 1988, I can do it again. It seems like every 4 years, 1980 and 1984.
We're calling you the Olympic bowler every 4 years.
Yeah, an Olympic year, too.
That is so right. Ted Moore is Vice President of Sales for Quaker State. And Ted, come on in. Beautiful trophy. And you have something in your hand that'll interest you.
Yes, I do. Hugh, on behalf of Quaker State Oil Refining Corporation, our distributors and employees across the country, I want to extend my warmest congratulations, present you with this beautiful trophy and with this equally beautiful check in the amount of $20,000. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Quaker State, the sponsor, Ginny Halsey, and all the people here at Forum Bowl. It's a fantastic tournament, a good time every year, and it's just wonderful.
Hugh, have you ever seen a friendlier place in Grand Prairie?
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, and you had a great field today. You had Big Hook and Bob Hanley and Del Ballard, the local favorite. Didn't he do a good job? And he'll be back.
Oh, he looks good. I don't know how many tournaments he's bowled. I heard he finished second last summer, and so he's got 2 TV shows, his first 8 tournaments. I think it took me about 20 tournaments before I even got 2 cashes.
I think you have the potential of being another Earl Anthony.
Oh, well, I don't think... there's only one Earl Anthony. I don't think anybody else is going to come along that can quite do the things he could do, but I'm just out here rolling along and trying to make some money.
I like your rolling along. Hugh Miller. Now let's talk to Joe Barardi, another great champion, second today, and here's Bo. Nelson?
Thank you, Chris. Joe, you know, this 4 weeks into the PBA Tour, and we've seen consistently low scores. Today we had, I believe, 18 splits in the 8 games bowled out there. What really do you feel is the problem with, is it the players or, say, the lane condition, or what?
Well, it just appears to be Saturday. Everybody breaks into a slump.
Joe, what do you do when you see splits? Now, you're winning matches. You made $17,000 in the last 2 weeks. In your winning matches, what is your strategy going against a left-hander? Now, you're playing on the right side. You bowled against Roth. You knew he had the same problems you had. So it was just who could win the match. You out-dueled him right there at the end. But what was your thinking going against the undefeated one there, Hugh Miller?
Well, I had all my offense together, and unfortunately it wasn't enough. Hugh never missed the pocket, and I did. I didn't carry as well today at certain occasions, and I tried to fit the ball. I tried to put the ball in where there wouldn't be any doubt of a strike, and I just haphazardly bowled terribly.
Well, Joe, just really a tip for everybody is when a power player like yourself cannot hit the pocket, just like tight fairways in golf, what do you do? Give us a real quick answer. What would you recommend a player to do?
Well, truthfully speaking, Bo, I get a real hard...
Let your Tour.